and welcome to Geek Anime channel. My name is Igor and we are finishing today to analyze season 1 from today episode 10, and I'm sorry for a small delay. I had to take a little break from YouTube for a couple of days because, you know, life, work and so on. This episode is obviously very interesting. Usually last episodes of the seasons tend to be like that. And of course, before we begin, I want to thank those super duper amazing people that are supporting me here on Patreon. I also open an option to do this in YouTube. You can consider supporting this channel if you have seen about 10-15 videos here and you thought to yourself, yeah, this guy is doing a great job, I want to help him to be able to do more of that. And also if you have the ability to do this, if this is something that's not going to be difficult for you financially. So let's dive in. The first scene of episode 10, we are seeing Ethan and he's playing with Norman and the other guy. I still don't know his name. Hope one day we will. Probably it's gonna be like Jade or Victor or something like this. But they're talking about let's go to the tower. We are going to the tower. And right away, I'm obviously thinking about the tower Ethan's father is building, so it's kind of logical for his son to play, you know, like to interact with everything that his father does. But also, since we are talking about like the tower and we're talking about Norman and the other guy, let's remember that we have seen them in Tabitha's vision in episode 9, and we have seen them already in the Lighthouse, which for a child can easily be a tower. So maybe they will go to an adventure and end up in this tower. Also, I started to watch already episode 1 of season 2, and there is an interesting moment here, because if you remember the beginning of this season, episode 3, we covered it, you know, like Creelmans and Jim started doing those noises, caw caw, and the Ethan was like, no, she doesn't sound like that. But in season 2, in episode 1, when Ethan talks with Jade about Creelmans, he says every time he goes to an adventure, so it's she or he. So why am I talking about this right now and not during my analysis of episode 1 season 2 is because, once again, if you remember this moment, you know, Jim and Tabitha are actually playing with Ethan and they're like, 2 Creelmans for the cave, 2 Creelmans for you. Maybe those red and yellow thingies are actually Creelmans. One of them is he, Norman, and the other one is she, whatever her name is. So this is just something to think about. Anyway, we're moving forward and we can see there is a change in Ethan. He's telling to Julie, it's okay, I can tell my own stories now. And if you remember in episode 9, he was by himself going through Victor's drawings and trying to understand what is the adventure, what is the quest that they need to go through. He said it by himself, if you can piece all of the images together, you will know what to do. So, did he really figure it out? What's gonna happen? What can happen next? And what he's supposed to do? So maybe, maybe not. But it's obvious, Ethan is growing up. He's definitely gonna be one of the keys to resolve this place, to escape from this place. I still don't know how, probably neither of us still don't know how, but you know, it's obvious he's gonna be very important. Let's talk again about clocks, okay? Here in Matthew's house we can see that the clock showing us 6:30. If we coming back to episode 4, I think it's 4 or 3, when Father Katri was showing them their house, completely different time. It looks like it's about 9:45. And also when we're gonna go to the end of this episode, we're gonna see that the clock changed again. So why is it important? Why do I even think it's something worth noticing? Because when we talked about Boyd's office and we noticed that the time is changing, even though the second hand is not moving at all, only the minute hand and the hour hand, we don't know if they're moving, but since the clock is working, they're supposed to move. So when it was only one place, you can still explain it by, you know, they have like a bad clock. It broke. The second hand is not working, but the clock is working still. But when it happens with every clock in every building, this is already interesting. This is already something worth noticing. Why? What can happen there? Every clock there is just don't like their second hand. They're like, we don't like you. You go away, you disgusting second hand. We want to show time, but without you. Yeah, I agree. This is completely ridiculous. I also cannot explain it by, you know, some kind of malfunction in production. Like every clock they brought to this stage, to this city, to Fromville, was not working. But not just not working. They are working and they have the same problem. I don't know how to explain it, but it feels deliberate. It feels like something that was done intentionally by the creators. And we know there are some different time games here in this place. We know that the winter can come here like after 10 years or whatever, when Victor said like he was the only one who actually saw winter, I think in season 2. None of the others, not Donna, not Boyd, not Father Catry, have seen winter in this place, and they've been here for years. So yeah, time works differently here. And every time I'm gonna notice more of those clocks, I'm gonna show it to you, so we will establish a pattern. Overwhelmed is a very difficult word for someone that English is not even his second language, but third. Anyway, take 25. Side note, I'm a little bit overwhelmed right now in my main job, so I kinda left alone my board, but I'm obviously planning to get back to it and build it, and I hope to finish it until September 22nd. Let's get back to the episode. I just want to share with you my emotions about Jade. He's such an amazing character. I enjoy his douchery so much. When he figured out the electricity, and he was so proud of himself. But he didn't want to be, like a dick. So he said something very patronizing. He was like, I'm sure you would have figured it out eventually. And we all know that he means like, you would have never figured out this without me, without genius Jade. And there is nothing evil about him. This is why we can enjoy this character. You put somebody who is like a bad person with this kind of brain and with this kind of, self-confidence, yeah, you're heading for a big trouble. But gladly, Jade doesn't have even one evil bone inside of him. And we're moving forward, and here Boyd with Sarah, and they're talking about worms. When I hear those kind of dialogues, I usually try to imagine myself, the writer sitting there in his room and typing things. It's like worms. Like if you can split a worm, it becomes 2 worms. And you kind of have to ask yourself, this is the dialogue that both director, writer and editor thought it's necessary to leave in the final cut? Because obviously they filmed way more, but when they cut they leave a lot of scenes that are not necessary, and this one was. So why is it important? And it kind of made me think right away about our talismans. And we talked about it already. We have seen here that people can be simultaneously in 2 places, like it happened in the end of season 2, and also about our talismans, like the cave where Victor and Tabitha were when monsters are sleeping. And when we look at a talisman, it kind of feels like 2 person become 1, or the opposite, 1 person becomes 2. Also, one of them is upside down and one of them is usual, like regular. Don't forget it, because we're gonna come back to it in a couple of minutes. And Boyd and Sarah getting out of the tent and then seeing a lot of spider web kind of makes you think right away about Victor's drawings. We are seeing here like spider in the Lake of Tears. This is something, either I'm seeing something that it's not there, or it's really like something that looks like a gigantic spider leg. Have no clue. And this moment kind of killed me, okay? You have no idea how many hours I spent on it. I didn't need any AI program to try to understand what it's written there. All I wanted is some AI program to upscale the image. I have 4K, and it's not enough. When I zoom in, it's very blurry. The text is very blurry, and I cannot understand every word. I cannot even understand where is the word and where is something that was, like scratched out. All of the AI programs that I tried, they're actually upscaling it to 8K and even bigger, but they have no clue what to do with the text, and they're trying to figure it out. And they're giving me some stupid ass words that have no connection to what's actually written there. You may ask, why am I so angry? Because I paid for some of those programs. I spent so many hours on it to try to find something that will just do a normal, good upscale. This is all I wanted. I know it's not that easy, but since we live in 2024 with so many amazing technologies, I think I need someone who is great, amazing at Photoshop to actually help me with this task. But still, when we zoom into this story, we can understand a couple of things. We see story, we see here an S. Okay, so logical to think it's somebody's story. Sarah's, Boyd's, Victor's, whatever. But it's probably somebody who is a female, because we can see here, this looks like a she. This one, something that looks like scratched, and was driving, okay? Maybe here it's written towards, I have no idea, but here it's clearly to go back to the gas station. Somebody wanted to go back to the gas station. Once again, to go back to the gas, it's kind of easy to read, but here, you know, like we can see ST and then something scratched. Logically, it's probably gas station. So we can see here a lot of the, TRO, the again, something that looks like it was scratched, GF or off the bar, B, it looks like a B. We also, it's like no connection. I'm trying to understand. Once again, I wrote everything on a small paper and I tried to solve it like, you know, those riddles online. Didn't help, but you can notice the notice here. Look, NOTIC, probably notice THE, the tree. I don't know what it's written here. Maybe it's crow on the lane. Two something. Two more LA. Once again, it feels like it's just a story of somebody who entered Fromville. You have seen the tree, you've seen the crows, and then you cannot come back. But I think it's very important because maybe this is somebody's story who is in the town, who is one of our main characters. But if there is some detail that is not matching what we know it's supposed to match, I don't know, somebody have seen the tree and then went to the gas station, talked to somebody, not the gas station in Fromville, but you know, like regular gas station, and then actually entered Fromville, we would already know this is something suspicious. Once again, if there is somebody, I know I have a small channel, I know not that many people are watching, I hope this channel will grow, but if there is someone who is actually very good at Photoshop, I'm willing to pay you, not a big amount of money, like something small, something symbolic, but help me out here, help me to, you know, like make this image as crispy and clear as possible, because I think there is a very interesting clue that we will use to resolve this place and resolve this riddle. Anyway, there's also something here related to airmail. We can see somebody was putting here like lines, you know, like right next to every letter. Maybe it's also some sort of code, maybe it's something that people just do in postal offices in United States or I don't know, anywhere else. Once again, what's written here kind of hard to understand. Off day something FE. They make me crazy, why they don't let me read it normally. And we have a map. And we can see here like there's a big circle and a question next to it. WE, so we probably, a lot of trees, and some places here are actually marked with X and with C and with looks like a D or something. Here I don't know what it is, maybe it's the place where Boyd found the talismans, no clue, but once again something worth mentioning and something worth remembering before season 3. Now let's get back to this moment, because we talked already about people being upside down here in this place. You know, it kind of makes you think right away about Stranger Things, but I don't know, you know, like you cannot invent only original ideas. Sometimes they gonna cross paths. We look at the map, and it's a weird map. Once again, maybe I'm just, you know, like trying to find here some information that it's not there, but part of it normal, we can see the tree, and part of it upside down. Why is it like that? I don't know. Once again, all of my American subscribers, please help me out. Are those kind of maps sold usually in America, when you like they're folded and then you open them up and one image is upside down and the other is normal? I have no idea. But if this map was made intentionally just for this TV show, it means once again there is something symbolic here. You know, there is something that is telling us those people are somehow upside down. They are in the opposite world, or something like this. And once again, Creelmans Cola, it's right next to the globe, people are drinking it, there have a lot of bottles here in this place, and it cannot be just a copyright issue. I'm sorry, I can't believe that, okay? They actually made so many stickers, so many different machines here with Creelmans Cola. It has to mean something. Why there's Creelmans Cola? You don't have to put it in almost every scene we are seeing Creelmans Cola. I'm gonna show it to you even more and more and more. In season 2 we have new places and new machines and new signs with Creelmans cola. It's everywhere. And by the way, playing cards again. There is something related to playing cards. Almost in every house we are seeing them. And maybe this theory about, you know, like the witch and the demon playing cards for people's lives or people's souls, whatever it is, actually can be true. Just a small interesting moment for me, you know, like when Kenny comes to Christy and he tells her about how he feels, he offers her to come with him travel the world. They call the ambulance Troy. We talked about Troy already, I'm not gonna come back again to this issue, but it's just something nice to me, you know, like it adds to the feeling that this is a real place. I obviously don't believe this is a real place, I have to say it, because there's a lot of crazy people outside. But when you watch a TV show, it actually helps when you like feeling immersed in whatever happens on the screen. And yeah, on the screen is also happening this conversation where the bartender talks to Tabitha and he's also talking about a tower. Tower, magic tower. We're talking about the magic tower that Jim is building with Jade. But there is an actual magic tower, the Lighthouse, that actually gonna fuck up all the plans here in this episode. Anyway, we can see here another interesting moment just for me. Look at Fatima's earrings. It has like an interesting hole in the shape of an arrow. We've seen already Ellie's always walking with like a pendant, also with the symbol of an arrow. And just as I mentioned, this theory about the witch and the demon, also in this theory there are bell hooks. And as far as I remember, their mythology tells that people came from the arrow, somebody shot an arrow, the arrow hit the ground, there you go, people. And we come back to Boyd and Sarah, and Boyd starts to hearing voices. And it's really weird because Sarah doesn't hear them. And we kinda used already to Sarah hearing everything. She's the girl with the voices, she's the one who hears them. They're talking to me, I'm gonna kill all the babies here. Suddenly Boyd is the one who's hearing the voices. So it's either something completely different from what Sarah was hearing, or those voices can choose who hears them and who doesn't. And also something that you helped me to understand is that basically in African culture it was common to put bottles on the tree, and this is gonna also move to South America, especially in the African American communities. This is something that is done to scare the spirits away. And when we remember the scene from episode 9, when Sarah was like holding her head and ears, they're like talking to me, and the camera was zooming on the bottles, it felt like a little bit that the bottles are alive. And they are the ones who are making those noises that hurt Sarah. So if she's hearing them, the voices, maybe it's those evil spirits that are trapped inside those bottles, and every year has its own spirit or something like that. But here I'm already speedballing here, I have no clue. But it kind of works, you know, there is some connection here. But when we move forward, we can see like there's a big tree and the spider web is coming from the top. Like, just look at it. It starts from here and it goes down, almost like a bride's gun. I think it's called gun, you know, like the thingy on the dress. And so it tells us that this is the source. They started it from here. What is so special about this place? This is where the evil lies. You know, when we talked about the monster who lives underground, I thought it's supposed to be under the graveyard next to the church because it's drawn like that on Victor's image, but maybe this is where it's been hidden. And this is where it can affect everything around it. One of the forces. The other is probably the boy in white, maybe even the spirits on the tree, who knows. So yeah, not exactly the profile picture I would put on Facebook for Abby, but she's attacking here. Boyd, this is something we kinda see many times here on this TV show, when somebody opens their mouth and we're hearing completely different sound. Like with Jim, you know, like opening the mouth, and Tabitha hearing car horn and something else. Here we can also see her attacking Boyd and he's like being really scared, he doesn't understand. This is obviously not Abby, it cannot be. I don't see any logical explanation how it can be Abby. And we see the spiders are actually going out, and those are spiders. The image that we have seen with Ethan, you know, when I told you about this is not a spider, this is a bug. Yeah, this is a bug, this is not a spider, this is how spiders look. So coming back to Ethan, when he speaks to Jim, once again, we're feeling so much confidence in him. He is telling like, this is our part, yeah, don't worry Dad, I know exactly what's gonna happen, this is our part. His part, Victor's part, is something else to do. It feels like Ethan knows what's gonna happen. Maybe not to the last detail, but he knows. At least he can guess it. So it's very interesting actually to follow Ethan in the second season, to try to find more of those moments. I actually watched second season I think only twice. So it's still kind of fresh for me. I started to rewatch it already. I told you I already watched episode 1 because like I was a little bit bored and I wanted to go through, especially after the ending of episode 10. And yeah, there is a lot of new information that I didn't notice. So those videos are probably gonna be longer, but hopefully even more interesting for you. Anyway, his part, the quest, yeah, we know. And Boyd here is also, once again, he's talking about this formula that is being repeated over and over again. We're starting to understand this is not just something that the writers are writing for the sake of the beautiful word. They are writing it because this is probably true. This place fucking makes you think that you're doing the right thing. It gives you hope, then it crushes it, takes it away like it's feeding on your pain. So it doesn't feed on hope, but to create as much pain as possible, you need to give people hope and then crush it, okay? Because when you take somebody who's already almost ready to die, like the guy who killed himself in the previous episode, you're not gonna get too much pain. But if it's like with Boyd, when he found, you know, like animals and he found the talismans, every time he does something it feels right, suddenly something happens. Even with the talismans, Megan is dead, her family is dead, you need to kill Frank. You think you actually gonna go outside and find a place, you get a sign from this place like, yeah, if I had a boat, this is a sign from your wife, you should start going outside and you will save everyone. Nah. Let's break you once again, and then we're gonna get as much pain as we like. And I really enjoy this conversation between Jade and Mrs. Liu when he tells her about his history in France. He grew up in France with his grandma, and she died when he was 12, and he needed to come back to United States. So it's kinda, you know, there are black holes in this story, but you kinda feel them pretty easily. So probably his parents were American, and they died when he was very small. Then he needed to move to France to live with his grandma, and she died when he was 12. Then he needed to come back to United States to live with his uncle. Okay, so once again there is a theme of loss that we've seen here many times. Okay, Boyd with his father, he lost his father. We are seeing Matthew's families, they lost their child. Well, I don't know, the Jade lost his parents and he lost his grandma. But let's talk about this sentence, they come with you when you go. This is a sentence that some nice lady told him when he was feeling down in the airport. He didn't want to come back to United States because he felt like he's leaving his grandma alone. It's a very normal feeling. This once again makes him very human. Even though his grandma died, she was alone here. He didn't want to leave her alone. You cannot, you know, like feel about people that died that they're completely gone. It's impossible. You know, like either you're a sociopath or some crazy person, or you're gonna feel like they're still there. You want to feel it like that. You know, like human mind cannot comprehend this loss completely. And of course you can interpret this scene as Jade trying to, you know, make Mrs. Liu feel a little bit better, feel less guilt that she's gonna leave this place and leave her husband here. But you know me, I have to bring here some crazy theories. After so many thousand movies I watch, so many TV shows, it kind of feels almost natural that there's gonna be a time travel. Like there's somebody, either Tabitha, Mrs. Liu, whatever it is, somebody is gonna come back to 1980, whatever the year was when Jade was 12. They're gonna come to the airport and they're gonna be this nice lady that told him that. I know it's far-fetched. I know some of you don't like it. I have no clue if I'm right or if I'm wrong, but I just enjoy thinking about it. I think it's gonna be amazing if we're gonna have this moment. Season 4 or season 5 or whatever. So look around here, they're trying, you know, like to get up the tower. You can see that there is nothing here higher than trees. Yeah, the camera never shows us what's happening behind them, okay? Only at this moment when this girl is like, yeah, there's clouds here, it's gonna be a rain, it's gonna be bad. but it feels like the clouds are here suddenly came, okay? There weren't any clouds and suddenly there are clouds. So once again, it does feel logical to assume that if there were something higher than the trees, really higher than the trees, they would have noticed it many times while they were building this tower. So when we see here the lighthouse, we can see that it's way higher than the trees. So how can it happen that they're not seeing it while they are on the colony house, on top of the colony house? The kinda logical explanation that comes to my mind is that it's basically the lighthouse, just like Julie, Randall and Mariel in the end of season 2 were in the other dimension. This one is also in the other dimension. The lighthouse is not in the same reality as people who live in Fromville. There is an upside down here, and maybe the lighthouse is there, but you cannot see it until you got there somehow. I don't know how Boyd and Sarah went there. Maybe it's because of the spiders. Maybe in this moment, in the previous episode, when something attacked them and then they saw the lighthouse, maybe this is what happened. Maybe the lighthouse somehow transferred them, drawn them to its dimension. Once again, I do feel the need to repeat it many times. I don't assume that this is correct. I'm just giving you my ideas and my theories, and I enjoy when you write back and you tell me you don't agree or you agree, because you all crazies like me and you have your theories and you noticed a lot of interesting things and we are helping each other, and this is awesome. So yeah, this is probably the same lighthouse that we see on season 2. It kind of looks the same, but you know, different angles can look differently. Anyway, there's a lot of light. Once again, this looks very similar to what we have seen with Jade and with Boyd and Sarah, so it's safe to assume that both of those times, in episode 6 and in episode 9, it was a lighthouse that basically saved our heroes. So yeah, Donna. I love Donna. I honestly love her character. She's amazing. And there's a lot of moments that tells me she is honest, she is a good person, she is there to help. But sometimes there's a lot of moments when I'm thinking to myself, is there something to this theory that Donna is a mole? That Donna is not one of the good ones? Or maybe she's one of the good ones, but she's still hiding something. Like, you know, Jim was standing there with Ethan, and Ethan was moving the screwdriver from one station to the other station and nothing worked. And then Donna came in, she took the screwdriver, she put it there, and suddenly Jim speaks to someone. Coincidence? I don't know, maybe. Once again, this is for you to decide. And there's a conversation with some guy who's like, whoa, slow down, bro. Is this Jim? So whoever this guy is, he can recognize Jim by his voice, because if he would be able to see him, like, you know, we've seen those images with the eye in the sky, and you know, like Martin there in season 2 knows who everybody is, their names. Monsters are telling, we know all of your names, but they don't see them. Okay, they don't have this like 4K screen. So if it's a simulation, if it's a Matrix simulation, it's a shitty one. Or they would be able to see Jim and not ask him, is this Jim? You would just say, hey Jim bro, what's up? You should go and save your wife, please, right now. I don't know once again why I have a Borat here, but your wife shouldn't be digging that hole, Jim. So he knows that Tabitha is digging that hole. He's not the only one who knows that, okay? How? If they don't have the 4K screen TVs there to watch, either it's because the cycle repeats itself and somebody always digs a hole, and he knows that it's somebody who is filling the role here, like Tabitha is the one who's filling that role right now, or there's something else. I don't know, I have no idea. I would love to know what you think about it. And once again, he doesn't sound friendly, but also he gives a sort of a good advice, because, you know, we know that something bad is gonna happen to Tabitha, or maybe he said it because he knew Jim is gonna run there to save Tabitha and he's gonna get crushed by the house. And also, while Jim is running, I kinda noticed something like the no vacancy. It feels like it's not written, and it feels like not something that is switchable. Like, you know, the no here, or maybe there's something you put there, I have no idea. Probably I'm already like just annoying already with too many details. Maybe you could put here something that says vacancy, good vacancy, come here to this place, or it's a model where there's always no vacancy, which sounds ridiculous. So here, when Tabitha falls down, we can see like some white dots are in the air. It's probably dust, but it feels a little bit like when dust falls down, there's like a cloud. And this feels like electricity. I don't know. Sounds crazy, right? Electricity in the air, but you know, like the wires are stopping there. They're being cut and they're still somehow produce electricity. Only those wires, not the wires from the cars, not anything else, only those wires. So is this something magical? I have no scientific explanation here. Probably you don't too, but once again, surprise me, please. And we're moving forward and we can see that another person who knew that Tabitha is gonna dig that hole and she's gonna fall down was the boy in white. How did he know this? Once again, the only explanation that comes to my mind is the cycle. And there is always the same roles, and Tabitha is right now filling this role. Who's gonna try to save the Ankuyu children, who's gonna dig the hole, who's like... It feels like there is something, maybe some powers that are basically driving our heroes to, you know, like to play the script. And we go to the wall drawings, which are very interesting. I probably don't have anything for you because like every YouTuber and their mother try to do the analysis of those wall drawings. But they make drawings too, and let's just look at them. First of all, we can see here there are a lot of red people that are dancing around like something that can be either wood prepared for a fire or what is more likely crops that are supposed to grow. So, you know, like people will have food, yay! And there's a lot of times when we can see two people holding hand. And we never see two people are actually becoming one, or one person becomes two. So it kind of feels like, you know, like a comic book, maybe a story, because there is a theme of story comes back again and again in this TV show. So probably this will also tells us some story. And also we have this place, probably the one where Boyd found the talisman. We've seen it very similar in the map on the post office. Here is this cabin in the woods. No pun intended, and this is where Sarah was being held by Boyd, probably also where he wanted to send Frank. Once again, two people holding hands, there's a lot of them, and this is pretty self-explanatory. 7 tombs here, 7 Ankuyu children, people are dancing around them. This is the symbol, some kind of sacrifice. Once again, 2 people holding hands. One of them has like something on top of him, whether it's like a big hat or I don't know, a halo. And we can see here, this is probably the sun, okay, because when we zoom out a little bit, we can see here like a smaller red thingy with those dots here that kind of symbolize the light. So it's probably the moon and the sun. Once again, this is something we have seen already on Father Khatri's scarf. The Lighthouse also have this similar, you know, identification of light. All of them are red, just like the monster, just like the people dancing around the crops. I don't know if it's connected or it was somebody who a child drew and he was like, yeah, let's use red, let's use white, let's use black because I like colors. And there we have people here coming on boat. This is probably Brundles. What's left of them right now is Brundles. We can see something that looks a little bit like Native American houses, you know, like wigwams, whatever they're called. Maybe it's like, once again, this theory about Beotux, about Cabot. This is not my theory. I think the guy's name is Terran or something like this. Amazing theory. I hope it's not gonna be true. I hope if he will watch this video, he doesn't take it personally, because I hope it's gonna be a different answer. That's all. But if this theory is actually gonna come through, once again, hats off to everyone. And this is something I actually never noticed before. This symbol kind of looks weird. We also have those, you know, like small white dots that kind of make you feel about like light or energy, something around it. And this looks like a swirl or something like this. We haven't seen this, not on talismans, I don't think anywhere else. Correct me once again if I'm wrong. But this is definitely interesting, and I'm gonna be ready as soon as we're gonna see something just like it on any episode, season 1, 2 or 3. I'm gonna be ready for you with a new video. Anyway, Jim comes back and you can see the clock is moved again. I told you this already in the beginning. And we can see the boy in white. He looks exactly like in the drawings that Victor drew him, and like just standing there like a robot, and he starts to speak to Sarah, and she hears his voice really clearly. And he told her that Nathan was right about this place. It got angry. It's feeling that somebody's trying to escape. This is why there's a storm. So boy in white confirms that this place have this ability. So what do you mean this place? Is it sentient? Okay, we know the trees are moving or the ground is moving. We know there's spiders. I think eventually we're gonna see some manifestation of this place, some avatar, somebody who is basically can be killed in order to escape this place, or maybe the boy in white lies. And we see that Sarah tells him, I'm gonna be right behind you, and we know you won't. And Boyd is trapped just like in the images Victor drew before that. This is the story, this is one story, it's supposed to happen, and it has to happen again and again and again. And we're gonna see each other again in season 2, episode 1. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If not, thank you for watching anyway. If yes, you can support it any way you like. Put some like, write some interesting comment, subscribe, whatever you want, whatever feels right for you works for me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!